When someone books a backend business audit with me, I do have them fill out an intake form first, and I can almost always tell before we even sit down together what the core of our conversation is going to be. And the ones that I want to talk about today are not the founders who come to me with a really specific problem. They're the ones that come to me with everything. I have this, but I don't know if that's the problem. I have that, but I'm not really sure if that's the problem either. All I know is that I'm really overwhelmed and nothing feels like it's coming together. And that kind of answer, that scattered confusion, it's one of the clearest signals that I see. And today I want to tell you what it signals and what to do about it. This is She's Built Like a CEO podcast, and I'm Brooke, your host. I work inside the back ends of female-founded businesses every day. And I know that you already know that your back end needs some attention. You've known for a while. But instead of dealing with it, you're buying another course, testing another tool, trying another strategy, literally anything that feels like forward motion without actually touching the thing that needs to change. The back end is the problem. The systems, the tech, the processes running behind the scenes or not running. Those are what are costing you time, growth, and the version of your business you keep saying you're building towards. I know you don't want to touch it because you feel about technology the way I feel about laundry, and I get it. But that's why I'm here. In this podcast, we talk about what's actually happening behind the scenes of successful women's businesses and what it actually takes to fix it. Let's get into it. My intake form asks very specific questions like what systems are you currently using? What have you tried to fix already? What is currently like the biggest problem for you that you see? And for some founders, those answers are very tight, easy to answer, and they know exactly what they have and where the friction is and what they want help with. And that audit gets to be really targeted with them. But for others, I get answers that, it kind of looks like they're thinking out loud on paper. Like, I have this, but I'm not really sure if that's working. I set this up a long time ago. I'm not really sure that's what I need. And I think the problem might be this, but it also might be that. And the form itself is a reflection of how your business feels from the inside. Like there's too many things to look at and no clear place to start. And here's what I've learned from seeing that pattern enough times. The kind of across the board confusion almost always traces back to one single thing, and that's that your client path isn't mapped yet. And it's not because you don't know what you're doing, and it's not because you don't have an amazing business set up, but it's because you've never really sat down and drawn an actual line from stranger to client to result and everything that should live alongside that line. Let's start by talking about what a client path actually is, okay? So when I think of a client path, there's 4 things that come to mind. And the first one is, where are you meeting people? And I do not mean where are you posting content? I mean, where are they at in their head? Like, what's their state of mind when they first land on your content and discover who you are? What problem are they aware of in that moment? What matters to them at this point in time? Because everything that you create for that first touch point needs to speak to that exact person in that exact state, right? The second thing is, what's the first thing that you're offering them? This is how you pull them closer, right? This is the reason for them to take one step closer to you. So it's a piece of content that actually helps them. Maybe you have a freebie that solves a specific problem or a low-cost offer that gives them a really quick win. Something that says, here, this is what I can do for you, and makes them want more of that thing. The third thing I think of is, where are you taking them from there? Like, what's the destination? Not the dream outcome, like in 5 years from now, but like, what actual offer are you moving them towards after that? And what does that look like? What does it produce? What changes for them on the other side of that offer? And the fourth thing is, next step. Once someone's worked with you, where do they go? Is there a natural continuation, a retainer, a deeper engagement, or does the relationship just end and they're good to go? What happens? Those 4 things, the entry point, the first value that they get from you, the destination, where you're taking them, and then what's the step after that? That's your client path. And when those 4 things are clear, everything else in the business has a job to do. And when they're fuzzy, everything downstream kind of gets harder. And we don't really know what kind of systems to set up or how to make this work for you and make it easier for you, right? So what I see in businesses where they don't have this client path mapped clearly yet is that freebies multiply. because your entry point's not really clearly defined, and there's always a new lead magnet bringing in something. So, and we're building something new, a checklist, a guide, a challenge, a mini course, a quiz, whatever. And each one feels like it might be the thing that actually is going to finally pull people in. But if you don't have a clear picture of who's being pulled in and where they're going next, none of them are going to do the job. None of them. So you're just going to keep building new ones and hoping the next one lands, right? The next thing I see is offers are continually rebuilt because the destination that you're taking them to isn't clear either. So the offer keeps getting repositioned, new names, new pricing, a different angle. And the thing that's being sold is not actually the problem. But if you don't have a clear path leading to it, then it's really hard to tell what the problem is. So your offer gets redesigned, and you didn't need to. You already had a good one, right? And the next thing is your content's going to feel scattered because the entry point and the first value aren't defined. And it's hard to know what to say and to whom. So your content goes out and some of it lands and some of it doesn't. And there's no way to tell why because you really don't have a clear intention behind what is it's supposed to do. And that gets to be really difficult to understand, what are you going to create for them? And underneath it all is a business owner who's working really hard and can't understand why things aren't converting. Because from the inside, it looks like there's a million different problems happening. But from the outside, what I see, looking at your back end, looking at everything, it just looks like one problem. And here's why I don't want to build systems for a business where the client path isn't clear yet. Systems are built to serve a purpose. An email nurture sequence has to know where it's taking someone. An automation has to know what it's moving people towards. An onboarding flow has to know what the client experience is supposed to look like and why. If that path isn't defined, I can build you something with what you have, but whatever gets built isn't going to work the way that it should because it has no clear job to do. It would be like building a road or starting to build a road and not knowing where your destination is. Where is it going to end? You can make it smooth. You can make it, you can pave it and it looks really great and it's all efficient and stuff. But if it doesn't have anywhere useful to lead, it doesn't really matter how smooth and how well it's built. So when I see a founder in that state, that overwhelmed, scattered state, and I see it on the intake form, the first thing we do isn't going to be symptoms. It's going to be like, hey, I'm drawing a line here and let's figure out your client path. Where are you meeting people? What are you offering them first? Where are you taking them? What comes after all of that? And once that line exists and everything else, the systems, the automations, the backend infrastructure, that suddenly has a clear purpose and it gets so much easier to build because now we know what we're building, why, and where it's going. If this sounds like you, then I'm going to give you some questions that are going to help you out. And the first one, it's a two-parter, but the first one is, where am I meeting people and what problem are they aware of in that moment? The second one is, what is the first thing that I'm actually offering them that's going to give them a real result or get them reasonably closer to a result? Third question, what is the offer that I'm ultimately moving them toward? And what does their life or business look like on the other side of that offer? And last but not least, what comes after that? Is there a next step? Is there continuation? Is there a reason for them to stay? Do you have somewhere to put them after that? What happens to them? Or do they just simply cycle through? If you can answer all four of those questions clearly and specifically, then your client path exists. Might need refining, you never know, but it exists. And if you get stuck on any of them, then you know where your gap is. And that's the thing that we need to work on before you build a new freebie, before you restructure your offer again, before your backend system gets touched. The foundation has to be solid before anything can be built on top of it. It's going to hold your business properly. And if you want to work through this with someone who can actually see that, then we can do that inside of the Backend Business Audit as well. It's 90 minutes. I look at your specific business, map what's there, and you leave knowing exactly what to do and what to address first. Link is in the show notes. That's the episode this week. I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you next week.